Hey guys, we're back in our continuing series on how to build an ukulele. Today's not going to be that much of a demo, but we're going to talk story, and this is just one of those things, kind of a sidebar we have to do. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk about, I see my phone going off over there. We're going to talk about laying out where the braces are going to go for the tops and the backs. And I don't measure anymore because I jig everything. And of course, there was one point in time where I did measure, so I apologize. There's no real demonstration you're going to fast forward through today, but hang out. Some of you might pick up some stuff that you can apply, and then what I am going to go over is I'm going to do a screenshot of the specs, and this is for my kids later on if they want to spec out exactly what the measurements are, where the braces are. In fact, we'll just do this right now, and then we'll talk about this a little bit later. Go up here, you can screenshot that. All right, let's get started. So we're over here. I'm gonna go right there. Okay, let's start with laying out the tops. And let's make sure I keep within where you guys can see. So here's the top and back of the ukulele we're working on. What I marked is, I marked where the inside of the top is going to be on the top that I selected, and the inside of the back on the back that I selected. Later on, when we get really into hide glue, in fact, I'll show you guys right now. One of the reasons I like to use hide glue, somebody asked me that, is check out that joint. Let's get in here really close. So this one you can kind of see where the joint is, where the wood transitions out. But if you come in different sections of the wood, very hard to see the joint in here. So that's really nice with hide glue that sucks the joint together. Tight blonde, I definitely would have seen a line. I had to, this is a marked pencil line, so I know where the center line is, but you can see the quality of the joint when you use hot hide glue. Anyway, it's not about hot hide glue, this is about marking out the tops and backs. All right, let's start with the top. So if you took a snapshot of this, the measurements that went down on this piece of paper is the measurement from the top of the body, which is going to be right here. Let me pull this one off on the side. So as an example, the total body length, and by the way, this is my template for marking out. This is the top and back of the actual, I can put this right on the outside form. It'll fit right to the edges over here. All right, 12 3/8 of an inch is the total right there. So as we go down, the upper brace is going to be 1 5/8 inches from, I'm going to say the top or the neck joint. Then the sound hole center is 3 7/8 inches from there. The next brace is 5 3/4 inches down. The bridge patch is 7 9/16 of an inch. Now I got this other dimensions on the side, which is the dimensions of the brace itself. So the upper brace would be 3/16 by 1/4 inch, and that's what it's going to look like. This is also going to be the mid brace. Bridge patch. Let's talk about material on bridge patch real quick. So I got a bunch of Milo here, only because I can. I cut this a long time ago. I continue to use it till today. For some instruments that I build in maple, which is a lot of them, I'll go ahead and maybe I'll use them. This is actually bird's eye maple. A long time ago when I built my bass, but it's basically a hardwood. It's not going to look like this when it goes in. I surfboard shape the edges, I round off the edges, and we can go into this later on, but basically this is the size. When you get to this list, on the right hand side is the size of the patch. So like the bridge patch is going to be 5 1/4 long by 3 1/4 inches, I guess wide, well, long, wide, and then 50 thousandths of an inch thick. I play around with that sometimes. I got some thicker ones, but mostly that's where I stay. All right, there's more braces right here. So the sound hole center, actually the sound hole brace is actually going to be the same dimensions as the fan braces. So what it is this sound hole brace is actually 3.5 inches. I'll brace it like this, and you'll see it later on. So 3.5 inches by 3/16. I'm sorry, 1/4 inch high by 1/8. This one's a 3/16. 1/4 inch high by 1/8. This is the exact same dimensions as I use for the 5 fan braces here. 3 long ones in the middle, 2 short ones on the outside. And actually, I don't have the dimensions of that on here. So maybe I should write it down right now. Fan brace. Nope, I did not do that. Okay. Fan brace. Is 5 5/8 of an inch by 1/4 inch by 1/8, 3 each, and then the 2 outside braces are going to be 4 5/8 of an inch by 1/4 inch by 1/8, and then 2 each. Yeah, you don't need to see that, but I'm going to show it again to you anyway. There you go. So I added in the fan braces there on the side. All right. So I described out where the measurements were as far as going from the neck joint all the way out. All I'm doing with this is basically putting it on the center line on the top and the center line on the bottom. And hopefully you can see this, but you can see how close when we cut it out, how close it's cut. I try to close it when we were cutting the outside shape as close to final dimensions. That's really how close we're getting. So from here, all I'm going to do is mark off where all the braces go around the outside. And if you look really good, the only one I didn't mark off, if you can see that. So the fan braces are on the bottom. There's going to be 3 of the longer ones on the inside, 2 of the shorter ones on the outside. They're going to run over the bridge patch. And then here's the mid brace, there's the upper brace. The sound hole braces are actually going to run like this. Once the sound hole is cut, I'll go ahead and install them. And it's honestly an eyeball measurement at that time. I used to do a donut. I don't do that anymore. It's just easier for me to do a sound hole brace. Because when we do a rosette, I actually use wood. So there's actually some built-in bracing for the sound hole when we do the rosette. Some would argue that, but you can see where we go with that. You know, since we're here, let's talk about the bridge placement. So, this on this side. I have a fretboard over here, and trust me, I'm going to put it, I have a 15 fret joint. Sorry, 14 fret joint. So this is the 14 fret joint right here. If you measure this out, scale length from the nut to where the bridge patch goes, the bridge patch is going to be like 17 1/8 of an inch, so a little bit longer. The bridge patch also goes outside of the braces, and the reason I round it is to prevent cracking on the soundboard. I've seen some soundboards crack right at the edge of the bridge patch, so we're going to soften the edge of the glue. But we're talking about scale length for now. Some of you might have seen I don't know if I did a video yet, when I set the bridge on the top. This is actually what I use. When this goes on the top of the body, the bridge is actually going to sit, and if you look at this measurement, the bridge patch sits behind the front edge of where the actual bridge goes on the top. So actually you can see that. Yep. Okay, let's turn it this way. Okay. But the bridge patch is literally right under the front edge of where the saddle is going to go. Now, mind you, there's 1/8 of an inch, or actually more than 1/8 of an inch gap between the front of this template, where the bridge is going to go, and where the saddle goes. In addition, we're going to throw in a 7.5 degree angle on that. For those of you that have seen my video on the Rick Turner tilt back saddle jig, rest in peace, Rick. Thank you very much for all you've given us. Definitely took that one from you, and definitely adding your name onto that one. The saddle is not straight up and down. It's actually angled back about 7.5 degrees. So the scale length is actually going to extend itself. So if you figure out the measurements on this, 17 inches, sure, is going to be right about the front edge of the saddle. And everyone says you need some compensation. Compensation is kind of built in with the dimensions if you follow this, and with the 7.5 degree angle saddle going back. If you guys don't believe it, let me get one. And by the way, this is an old bridge. This is nothing that we're going to use. I believe the slot is angled on this one. Yeah, it is. So it's kind of angled back, if you can see that. Let's do this. There you go, see? So that's straight up and down. That's gonna give it more scale length on the strings, and then because I use a 1/8 inch saddle, I compensate the saddle. It can go up to another 1/8 inch more on the lower side or the G strings. Okay, so physics, theory, scale length, all that. There you go. I'm going to build in the compensation based on the placement of the bridge. Very important. Now you can do your own measurements, but that's probably going to be one of the most important measurements you do when you do your layout. Now, one more thing. On the angle, people have asked me that, the angle of the fan braces, I'm just going to say right here is the 12th fret. Let's just put that right there. Sorry, that's the 12th fret. And I was going to say the angle of the braces all converge on the 12th fret, give or take. So we're just going to do that right there, right there. Obviously that's going to be straight. And they converge on the 12th fret. Why do I do that? Have no clue. I might have read it on the internet someplace, so you know, when you see it on the internet, it's absolutely true. Works for me. Figure out what works for you. We're doing 5 fan braces. Going to be very small. These are actually the braces right here. And we're going to trim this down even more. So it may look like a lot of bracing, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's an over-braced instrument. All right, that is the top. Do the same thing for the back. Let's put that on the side. So on the back, here's the back right here. And this one actually has nice joints. This is the inside. I'll show you what the outside is going to look like. So the joints on the joint on the back with hide glue, yeah, really nice. You can tell where the patterns meet, but if you go in where there's no pattern, it's really hard to see the joint. And that's really nice when you're finishing it. All right, enough about the nice joint. Here's the inside. I marked it at the top and back. We're just going to lay this out right there. That's the back side. Now, what's nice about these pencils that I finally got, spent some money on, I don't know if I talked about these. These are the Pentel Graph Gear 1000, 5mm. I'm just going to lightly mark the side. Now, the soundhole is going to be here. I'm going to do the far side of the brace. That's it. Because honestly, if I don't get to sand it off, which I do, but if I don't, and the brace goes on, once the brace goes on, you know, I mean, you got to put a mirror in there to see the line, but that's really where it's going to go. Okay? And that's how we do the back. We're also going to radius this. We'll radius this. We'll get it on the radius dish later on. Now, there are a lot. Some would say overkill, 3 braces for an ukulele. Why do I do 3 braces? To be honest with you, that's how I was taught. So I've combined different designs from the instruments that I've seen over the years, and to be honest with you, I combined the one that my instructor taught me, Mike Ueno, up in Moanalo Gardens, Moanalo Valley. It's kind of the valley. My friend Ramon Camarillo has a custom Casey Kamaka. Absolutely love that instrument. Just absolutely gorgeous instrument. It's an older one, but Casey's just top notch in his bill. Ramon also had a 12 fret Martin. So my current instrument is kind of a combination of all 3, but I've kept the 3 braces where it's at. And I kind of like this center brace right here, right where it is in the middle of the back, because we're going to radius this. You're going to see this materialize later on. This right here is actually a section of a prior radius dish. So if you look at this actually radius is like that. So we're going to actually use this when we do our glue up of the back braces after it's radiused on. All right, that is it. Hopefully this video is fast enough. All we wanted to talk about today was how we lay out our bracing on the tops and backs. I no longer measure because everything's on here. And once you get to this point, building becomes really, really nice and really, really easy and really, really consistent. All right, guys, if you got any questions, comments, pop them below. You want to subscribe? Appreciate that as well, too. See you next time.